Guys, they've kind of sort of almost not really fixed pistons, and because of that, you can make something like this. Now, this is a mobile automated drilling rig. So once you've set this up, you can just leave it. You can walk away. You can fly away. And when you come back, it will just keep going. If it finishes, it'll automatically turn it off, pull those pistons back up. It will just keep pushing those pistons down at a rate where it will not summon Clang. So luckily, he'll just keep playing with the shiny thing that they've given him at the moment. That kind of distracts him. So he'll just stay away and do that as long as you don't push this too much. But it is automated. You can leave it to go. You can have multiple of these going, and it works. It's brilliant, and oh my god, it gets a lot of stuff. So okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you setting this up. So the first thing I'm going to do is going to show you the way you want to do this so that you have these pistons actually working okay. Then I'll show you setting it up so it works. Now at the end of the video I will go through the script. I'll just give a brief overview of the script. I might do another video exactly on that. Okay, so the first thing with this is that most important thing is you don't want to lock this to an asteroid or a planet. You want to lock it to something that's built on the asteroid or planet. Now it doesn't matter if that thing is built or not, it just counts as a static object. So for example, as you can see here, I have literally just used, what have I just used? These are just light blocks, I think. There we go. Right, there we go. Yeah, these are just light armor blocks. I just threw some of them down where I wanted it, left myself enough space so that's not going to bump into it, set it to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and land on the planet. This does actually land on the planet. And so I can show you that it still actually works even in gravity situations. I will say though, what you don't want to have is your gravity generator on when you're doing this. It can cause issues. Now as you can see, it's quite possible to make it so that it's really stable and you've actually got a lot of fuel. So I mean, this is, I'm running off of hydrogen right now. I think I might be, there we go. So I think I am very slowly sinking, but I think that's just a little bit of a glitch with the game you tend to have. So I'm just going to lift that up a little bit. Jump off of there. Right, so now let's just throw down some blocks. So we'll do this far away. Now I don't have wolves on. If you did have wolves on or any sort of creatures on the planet, you would want to make sure that you've got guns on the underside of it, and you'd probably, if you're on a planet, you'd probably want to actually build these up. Oh. Let's just give that another little raise. That'll do. Right, okay. So this is what you want to do to, I mean, obviously you might want to choose another method, but just with this, you just want to make sure you lock it in. So here we go. There we go. Right, now that is locked. That counts as 0 tons. That will not move from there now. That's brilliant. That takes away, oh, smack the mic, sorry. Takes away my need to have any hydrogen going. Gives me a chance to get that back. As you see, with this setup here, it works fine. Now with what I've got going on here, just go and, right. Going to turn those drills on and turn the rotor on. There we go. Now to make life a little bit faster, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gradually increase this one. So I'm going to take its velocity up to 0.1 and we'll take the maximum distance to like 3 meters. There we go. Right, okay, so I set that to 10. It's just about starting to dig into there. That's cool. Right, now what I can do is just go and smack me scripting on button. There we go. And this will start digging in. So the trick for this seems to be just having just enough power on the pistons so that you don't actually have any trouble lifting the drills up. That seems to be the big thing there. So don't put any more pressure on them. Now the other thing as well that I've done with the script is I've actually made it so that it only pushes down like 0.5 at a time, and I've set the timer so that it will do 1 revolution in that time. So it's make sure, so you need to be doing 1 revolution in that time. Now I've played around with numbers, and what I've found is that although It seems to be better if you go faster. It isn't actually. You're gonna get bounces and things like that, and that is when clang turns up. That's when things are gonna go exploding. With this setup, it has not caused any problems. It's barely bounced. You can see there's a little bit of a wiggle going on, but that's it. I haven't had any problems since I've done these settings on it. Okay, right, so that's going there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to take this back up into space, and I'm going to log out of this because this is a survival game. Don't really want to cheat. So I'm going to take this back up into space, and then I will show you how to build this. I will leave the script in the description so you can actually just throw it in. I would explain the script at the end of the video, but I'll make sure I do it once I've done everything. Right, okay, so let's go do that. Right guys, so I've gone ahead and set this up ready to build. What I've got is just an upward facing landing gear there on that station, and then that allows me to lock another one down. Means you don't have to throw a reactor onto here. Now I've already built a copy of this over there, so I'll be able to just sort of go and show you that in action in a second. Right, okay, so once you've got this sort of set up here, make sure you leave yourself a bit of space. You want to build the base of what you're going to do, so you're going to need junctions and whatever blocks you're using. I'm going to be using heavy armor blocks. Right, okay, so that's our base done there. So what we've got is a 5x5 square in the middle here. That gives us a 3x3 hole to have the pistons going down. I've got my junctions around here. Now, the reason I would say put your sort of armor blocks around here is just if you do have a bit of wiggling on the pistons, you don't want them to be really hitting your junctions. You want to be hitting something like a heavy armor block, which is going to give you a lot more sort of protection from clang. Right, okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take 9 conveyor junctions up, and I'm going to cap them with a conveyor sorter. But first of all, let me just put these here and here. There we go. Right, so take these up by 9. Right, there we go. So we've got 2 sides up there by 9. I'm just going to go across the top here. Now, to do the same thing that I've done with everything else, to make sure that you don't have your stone that you're going to be getting going down into reactors and things, what we're going to do is set these conveyor sorters here to blacklist stone. That's all you need to do. Is just make sure you've got blacklist stone. Don't touch anything else. Right, now it's time to put the pistons, the rotors and the drills and things on. Right, now it's time to put the pistons on. So we're going to take 6 pistons down from the middle here. That's not a piston that I'm using. There we go. Right, that's our pistons on. There we go. And first thing here is we're going to grab all of our pistons here. We're going to make sure you've got this on. You've got shared inertia tensor. Take the velocity to -4. We're going to take the maximum distance to 10. Now we're going to take both of these to 22.8. Oh god, that's really finicky to do. There we go, 22.8. Right, that's done. Now we need our rotor. There we go. And with our rotor, what we need to do is just to make it easy, if you don't want to change anything in the script, just call this pistons rotor. That's pistons underscore rotor. Now we're going to set the braking torque to max as well, and we're going to set the velocity to 1.07. Right, that's done. Now obviously you do want to turn this off because when you put power on there it's going to start to turn. Now we're going to put a conveyor junction there on the bottom, and we're going to take it out 7 in either direction and put drills on the bottom of them. Right, so now our drills are on. You should have 15 drills. If you go into the control panel, grab the drills. You want to put these in a group, whatever you want to call it, just call it drills. There we go, done. Right, okay. That is obviously the pistons and drills. We need to make the control system. Now I was going to quickly show you what I do for the actual propulsion system. What I do is I take a conveyor junction out either side here, and I make a square that's 7 on the side. Right, once I've got that, I take each corner up by 4. There we go. Right, now before I put in anything else, I'm going to put in a large cargo container here, because this will demonstrate what's going on here. Right, so at the moment we've got these blacklisted, these sorters. So stone, when we drill, the stone will come up here. It won't go beyond this large cargo container. Now the reason we've taken these off here is that means that we're not going to have a potential situation where, because we're going to have the hydrogen tanks offset, they won't actually have a potential situation where we have them sort of creating a conveyor junction here, or create a connection between them where the stone can then sort of go through and go back down. So in this situation is when you start drilling, your stone will always be sitting in here, or you'll only be able to access it from here or down the drills. So yeah, that's just something that makes life a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put lines of conveyor junctions around here. There you go. So now when I put down a set of hydrogen tanks, they will not be connected to that large cargo container. So as you see, there's 8 hydrogen tanks there, and they are not connected there. That's great. Right, so now what I did with the control system here is I took these junctions out another way, or another step all the way out. Right, so what I've done there is I've filled every axis with hydrogen thrusters. On the bottom there, I filled every space that I can with them. Up the top here, I've only got 2 lines of them going upwards. That's because I'm going to fill here with oxygen generators. There we go. Right, and now I could do that on the other side, but I don't need to because obviously this is created. But you could do that on the other side, and that give you more than enough oxygen generation. Right, that's sort of the propulsion there. Do need to put down a couple of reactors and some gyroscopes. There we go. I've just thrown 3 reactors and 5 gyroscopes on there because using hydrogen don't need much energy really. Right, okay. So now we need to put down the foot that we're going to use to connect whatever we build on an asteroid or planet. So it's going to take 6 out there, 3 by 2, put our foot there, there we go. Now we're going to put a control station here right next to it just so we can see what we're doing. Now, might as well put our buttons right near there. Okay, almost done here. Next thing we need is a timer block. There we go, put that timer block, make sure you can actually access the control panel. I often end up accidentally doing it, I can't do that. Right, okay, and now we've got our programmable block. Right, next thing we need to do is, in this programmable block, we're going to have to throw our script in. Right, so this is a script that I am going to be actually throwing into the description of the video. If you're not planning to do anything or sort of even look at the script, there's a couple of things you need to know. You have to use this name and this name, or you can change these names as long as you have them inside the quotes here. I've just been using the names in this video, so you can just throw it in and ready to go. But if you don't want to do anything, once you've got that in there, just press remember code. Oh, and then, or just remember and exit. Right, okay. So now we're going to grab this timer here, and we're going to change this to pistons timer. It's pistons underscore timer. Set our delay to 30 seconds. And we're going to set up our actions. And the action we're going to do is just going to drag the programmable block onto here, click run, and we're going to go. Right, okay. So now we've got our control of that done. Last thing we need to do is set up our buttons here. So we're going to go set up actions. Our first button is going to be our pistons rotor. I'm just going to turn that on and off. Our next button is going to be our group of drills, and we're going to just turn them on or off. Our third button is going to be our start the pistons script. So we're just going to go. So we're just going to drag the programmable block into there, do run, select go. And the last one is to stop everything, grab the programmable block, click run, and type stop. Okay, that is now ready to go. Now, obviously, you would want an ore detector and other stuff on here, but for the purpose of this video, that is ready to go. So, just disconnect that from there. And I have actually built a site. Where you at? Around over the back of this asteroid here. Oh, I might delete it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this roughly perpendicular to the asteroid here. So we'll go there. That'll work. There we go. Get our drills fairly close to the surface. That'll do. Right, okay. Jump out of there. And we just want to get a set of blocks here that are fairly far away. So we'll build that here. You want to really have, you want to make sure you've got enough space that those drills aren't going to smack into this. Once you've built a sort of a column up like this, that is well wonky. Let's build that again. They got a little bit less wonky. Once you build this column of pistons up, a good way to know you're going to be okay is if you can build 1, 2, 3, 4 out. 5 is preferable. Right, okay, let's jump on here. I'm just going to grab our thing here. I'm just going to do switch lock, just so that will make life easier. Right. So we're going to go into our view mode. I'm just going to hold alt and look here, and we'll just get ourselves latched onto that. Actually, I'm going to, there we go, just get ourselves a little bit straighter in comparison to it. Right, there we go, locked on. Right, now it's ready to go. So we're just going to turn the rotor and the drills on. Make sure we're not clanging into anything. Shaving off the top, that's fine. Right, we're ready to go. So, set this to go. Now what we should see is the first piston extend a little bit. There we go. So if you do find... Was that a meteor strike? I'm assuming so. Oh, scary. Maybe I should have made this like, you know, a safe environment. Okay. So, if you do find that your pistons aren't extending, there is a kind of there's a little bit of a bug going on with Space Engineers. It seems to be that blocks can hold like their previous state even when they shouldn't hold them. So the trick to that is just to log off and log back on. If it's still not working, just take the blocks down and put them back on. But as long as you've built this connected to a station, you put that shared inertia tensor on, and you've actually got your settings as they are, you're ready to go. Right, so I'm just going to leave this to go for a couple of minutes so you can see this in action. Right guys, so as you can see, this is starting to chew out a considerable chunk of this rock here. Now there's one last thing I wanted to show you, and that is, well, there's two last things I want to show you, but this one is how to sort of get rid of that stone if you're in space. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab a conveyor sorter here, and we're going to grab a connector. So we're just going to grab our conveyor sorter, we're going to put it on the top of here, and we'll aim it upwards. There we go. And we're going to grab the control panel, which should be there. Okay. Now this one, what we're going to do is we're going to set to whitelist, and we're going to choose stone. Don't need to touch anything else on that. Now we're going to put a conveyor connector up here. Now we're going to grab this connector and we're going to say on this control panel, throw out, collect all on. And there you go. That will start chucking your stone out. Now this does work in space. If you're on a planet, what you can do is you can do the same setup. So you could have a conveyor sorter coming off of here, for example. What I can do is just show you. You could have a conveyor sorter coming off of there like that, a junction, and then have your connector pointing downwards. And you could have that just shooting back down into the hole that you just created. Don't do that though. So make sure that that conveyor sorter is turned off when you're actually doing the drilling. If you get too much weight in the drills, they'll bounce and that will cause a problem. Also, you don't want to be using that one in space, because even when you pull the drills up, it will cause the drills to bounce. And that seems to, once again, that sort of state that it holds on to the state of what's going on. If those drills start to bounce, even if they settle, next time you go to drill, it will be a bit of a problem. I don't know why. Right, okay, so that is the build of that. I was going to quickly show you what you can do once you've actually drilled out a hole. So let's go find, where's that one that I've done? There it is. Okay, so this is one that I'd already done, and I built this one, I think, ever so slightly differently. But you can see what I did was, once I got the hole in there, I dropped it down. So what I'm going to do is just going to get rid of those. There we go. I'm just going to jump on here, and I'm not going to touch the mouse, and I'm just going to press V. Let's just, there we go. I'm just going to go down into here very carefully. There you go. So I was going very slow there. You could hear it just sort of bump off of there. That's fine. That's perfect. But I've jumped out of there, and now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to build. I'm trying to get them as flat as I can. Just going to build a couple of blocks sticking out here. Now I find with this size, a good way to go is to actually build a half block here. There we go. Now we can just sit on here, aim it here. Just going to lift. Oh, didn't mean to do that. But I've moved my mouse a little bit. Just going to bring this up a little bit and just edge it a tiny bit forward. So just to the point where, there we go. Right, that's locked. So now we're actually inside the hole we dug there. Let's turn this on. Go. Right, now that is starting to actually dig down inside there. So I think this is like 3 times I've gone down through this one here. As you see, it's a fairly large tunnel that I'm digging out there. I'm basically coring this asteroid. Okay, so guys, yeah, that's how to do that. If you don't want to look at the scripting, that is the end of the video. Just a couple of things to reiterate. Make sure you have that. Make sure you have that inertia tensor on the pistons. If the pistons aren't extending, just whack that stop button. They all reset, log off, and come back on. This seems to be an issue with single player. I don't know what it is. Now, one last warning I will say: do not tab out. I don't know why, but tabbing out seems to summon clang. I don't know why, but it works perfectly fine unless you tab out. Okay, so I hope you found that useful. I hope it helps you in your Space Engineers game. I hope you do awesome stuff. If you want to watch the scripting, just keep watching to the end of the video. If not, have fun. Catch you all soon. Bye. Okay, so this is the actual script I'm going to be linking in the video description. I've just tidied up a little bit. So I'm going to make the assumption that you're going to be familiar or have the ability to get familiar with the way you use certain things in a language, right? So obviously every language is a little bit different. And I'm going to make the assumption that you know you're going to be able to actually look into how to do certain things, and I'm going to use terms that you probably will understand. Now, for example, a for loop and if-else statements. I'm not going to actually just sort of go into detail of how they run, but I would explain how we do things on Space Engineers, and also some of the quirks that I've had to go around for this. I warn you now, I'm not a fantastic scripter, so yes, some of this may be a bit rubbish. Right, okay, so define my two strings for the name of my timer, the name of my piston rotor. Obviously, these are the things we actually call them on our ship. So we've got pistons timer go and pistons rotor. Now, I do actually define a custom function method. Don't know what it's called in C#, but a function. It's made a function, right? It's called go timer. Now, originally I called the timer a lot more in the script. I don't anymore, but it serves a good purpose for actually explaining how you get blocks in Space Engineers. Okay, so what we do in this go timer is we call iMyTimer block timer. So iMyTimer block is the type of block that you're calling. It's a sub block of whatever. I think it's a terminal block. So you need to call that. So that's the type of block we're calling. And then we're calling that. This is going to be the name of our variable timer. And then we're doing grid terminal system. You call that for pretty much everything. And then it's get block with name. So how we get a specific block or a specific named block is this. And obviously we throw in our go timer name. And this is as iMyTimer block. Now, as someone who comes at coding from a background of C++, this is a bit weird to me, so this is a bit funky getting my eye into this. But this is the setup you want to use to call a block, or to get a block that you've defined. So you define it as the block type, so iMyTimer block. Up here we have iMyMotorStator, we have iMyShipDrill, what's the piston called? iMyPistonBase. Okay, so that's how you call that. Grid terminal system dot get block with name. Now you'll use that grid terminal system like get blocks of type or things like that in there. So and then we go go timer name as my iTimer block. Now to actually do something with a block, what we do is you take that one that you've defined. So we've got iMyTimer. So we've got timer, which is iMyTimer block, and we say dot get action with name, and in brackets we find the action. So you can't just go timer dot start, which would seem normal to me, but anyway, you have to go dot get action with name, and then we have to look for start, and then we have to dot apply to our own timer. Like I said, bit funky to me. So anyway, so if you've never done it in C#, this might be funky. Hopefully that explained it to you. Right, okay, so that is how you actually get a block and you do an action on the block. Now within this code, within the main method, function, whatever, we do have the string argument. Now we pass that in when with the timer, we pass that in when we press the buttons. That's the go, and obviously I'm sure you can figure that out. That's the go, that's the stop, and things like that. So what we also do now is we have to get a list of pistons for us to go through. So you define a list. So you've got list iMyPistonBase. We're calling that list pistons, and that is a new list of type iMyPistonBase. Now to actually fill that, once again, this is something that if you don't come up with this from a C# point of view, this is going to be a bit weird. To actually fill that list, you don't say this list is equal to this. What you say is grid terminal system, so you're calling that again, dot get blocks of type, the type of block you're going to get, which is iMyPistonBase, and then you say what you're putting those into, which is our list pistons. Okay. This one here should, and the next thing we do before we do anything else is we say Sorry, had a bit of a cough there. Now I'm defining a boolean. I'm calling it active, and that is equal to false. Now that is going to be used to check whether or not I have a piston currently active. If not, I'm going to do another piston. And if I get to the end of a for loop and I haven't made that true at any point, I know that all the pistons are extended. Now, once we call the argument of go, so we check if there's an argument of go, we do a for loop. So we do for in I equals 0. This should be fairly normal for anyone who's done any coding before, but this here is a bit different if you've never done C#, and this is pistons.count. That's just how you get the length of the pistons list. So this will tell us how many things are in that list. Okay, so then we say, okay, is active equal to false? That means we've got no active pistons, if that is equal to false. If it's not equal to false, just go through the list again. Right, okay, so if it's equal to false, right, we need to check if that piston is actually ready to sort of be pushing forward. So obviously, it could be a situation that this piston was active, but it's not fully extended yet. So we want to check if that velocity is negative or positive. So if it's negative, we want to make it positive. Now this is going on the assumption that you have set it up like I said in the video. You could put checks in here and just do it for any setup, but this is just for this video. Okay, so we call that piston, so pistons I, so the current piston. This is only if the active is false, we want to make this active. And we say get action with name, increase velocity, and then we apply that to pistons. So obviously if active is false and this is negative, then this is one that is not active, because if it's pulling back, it's obviously not active. Right, okay, or it's not extending. Right, okay, so once we know, once we've done that, we check that the velocity is forward. Right, if the velocity is forward, what we then need to do is pull out the info for where the head of that piston currently is. So what we need to do now is we need to pull out that detailed info. And if I go and have, so what we're going to do now is we're just going to have a look at one of these pistons. So let's have a look at this. Let's have one that's going here. Right, okay. So this one is currently going. And the detailed info is what you see in this box down here. So we'll get out a string that says attached current position 3.0 meters. What we want to do though is we want to split that out, and we just want to get the 3.0 meters out of that. So what I'm doing here is I'm passing that string to a list. So essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking that string, I'm chopping it up, and I'm making a list of what I've chopped up. So I'm making a list of type string, and I'm calling it pistons info. Pistons underscore info, and that's a new list of type string. Right, we've been over that before. Now this bit here, never done C#, might be interesting. Pistons I, our current piston, detailed info. So you can just pull out that detailed info with .detailed info, because it's not an action, it's an actual field. It's a variable within it. Now we're going to split that into new. So when we split that, we're going to split that into new strings. And that new string is going to be split by these parameters. So what is going to define each new string is defined by this. So if there is a space, make a new string. If there's a \n, which is obviously drop down new line, make a new string. If there's a /r, which I think is return, make a new string. Now, if we just went with those three, what we would get is at the end of it. So for example, that was 3 meters. We would get a string out that said 3.0 m. To get rid of that m, what we can do is just go literally, okay, you know what? Add m into one of these definitions here. That will mean that we'll just get 3.0 out. At the end we go string split options .none. Right, so that has now made us a list that has got a load of strings that has split up that detailed info, and in one of those things we have our actual extension in, well, not number form, but character version of number form. Now that one is going to be number 4. With this setup, that's the one. It's going to be number 4. So what I do here is I make a couple of decimals. Now these are floats, but what I have found out is, after lots of pulling out my hair, I found that actually, for some reason, if you compared a float to a float, it wasn't giving the right logical answer. And after running this with an LCD screen and watching the numbers that go past, what happens is when you pull out the direct float of what the current maximum limit of your piston is, you sometimes get, let me just type this out here, say for example we had 3.0, sometimes you get that. So if you're trying to compare two floats, that doesn't work. So what I do is make a decimal called extension, that's how far it currently is out, and I convert that to a decimal place. So we take out number 4 from our list that we've created up here. I convert that to a decimal and I round that off to 1 decimal place, just to be sure. And then I do the same thing. Now pistons pistons.maxLimit will get you what is currently set as what the maximum limit is. So that will be let's go to a piston. That will be this maximum distance. So what you're going to be putting out there is your maximum distance. Now that's the one that will get the 00001 on there. So what you do here, I've created a decimal. I'm putting that number out and I'm converting it to a decimal. And then what I'm doing is I'm rounding that off to 1 decimal place. So that should get us everything. And this seems to work. Right, okay, so now once we've done that, we get into the logical side of things. So what we've got is we know our piston's going forwards. We know it's the one we want active. We now have the ability to tell how far the piston head is out and how far the piston head can potentially go. So we want to check if we still want to apply anything to this. So if that max limit, so if the maximum distance is under 10, so it's got no, so it can still extend, and extension, the current extension of the piston is the same as max limit, so it's under 10 and it's extended to that point. Well, we want to move it out another 0.5. So we apply the action increase upper limit. So pistons I dot get action with name, increase upper limit, apply to pistons dot I. And we say active is true. That just means we don't do anything else again. Now the next one in this is, okay, so if that isn't true, we need to check if, okay, is the piston extending but isn't at the maximum limit yet? So if the max limit is under 10 and or the extension is under 10, so you could potentially be in a situation where the maximum distance is 10 but it's not extended to 10, or if they're both under 10 but they're just not equal, so it's still extending to what your current maximum distance is, well, that's an active piston. We say active is true. But if that is, if neither of those conditions have been met, then that means, well, you don't have a piston that is currently at its maximum distance, or that maximum distance is already 10 and the extension is already at 10. That piston is not active. That is fully extended. We don't need to make active equal to true. So if none of this is satisfied, then that piston is done. So we don't make active equal to true. Now obviously it goes through to the next piston with the for loop. If we get to the end of that for loop and active is still not equal to true, then we know that all of the pistons have extended. Now after that for loop, before we do anything else, we check to see if active is equal to true. If active is true, we have an active piston. Well, we want to run through our timer again, and that's where we call that go timer that we defined below. Right, so now if we get through the for loop, active is not equal to true, so active is still false, or we've passed the argument of stop, then what we want to do is we want to turn off the timer, we want to turn off the rotor, we want to turn off the drills, and we want to retract all the pistons and reset their numbers. So we define our timer again, so my timer block timer is equal to grid terminal system.get block with name, go timer name. So we already defined that. And all we do with this one is rather than applying the action of start, we apply the action of stop. Right, because we don't want to call that timer again, tell it to go again. We don't want it to go up and down, up and down. Now we need to turn off our rotor, and very much the same way, motor stator is the name of what you call a rotor. We define that as rotor, and then to find which rotor we want, we put in our rotor name as my motor stator, and then we apply the action of on, off, off. Now you could do a check here and say, is it on before you do that? I was lazy, I have to admit. Also, once again, assumption this is coming from watching the video. So do rotor, action with name, on, off, off, apply that to our rotor. To turn the drills off, we're doing pretty much the same thing, except for we're just going to do an iteration through a list. So we create a list of drills, so a list of type IMyShip drills, drills is new list IMyShip drill. We find all the blocks that are drills, grid terminal system, get blocks of type IMyShip drill drills. And then I create a for loop. I just use D just to make sure. So for D equals 0, D is less than drill counts, increase D by 1, turn it off. Same thing we did up here with the rotor. We're just doing that to the drill, what current drill we have in that for loop. Now when it comes to the pistons, what we do is we might potentially call this. So if this comes when active is false, we know that velocity is forward. But if we've called that when we've passed the argument of stop, there will be some pistons that do not have a positive velocity. So we need to check that the velocity is positive, and if it is, bump it back to negative. So what we do is pistons I, get action with name, decrease velocity, and apply that to that piston. Velocity and the maximum distance increase, they both bump up and down in 0.5 increments. Right, so once we know that that is definitely back to where it should be, now what we do is we just do 20.5 increments backwards. It doesn't matter if you increment it more or less than 0, or decrement it, that's that, less than 0, it would always just sit at 0. So all we do here is we create a for loop. Within this loop, for each piston in this loop, we create a for loop we do 20 runs of 0.5 increments down. That's pistons I, get action with name, decrease upper limit, apply to pistons I. So when we have this false or argument stop, we turn off the timer, we turn off the rotor, we turn off all the drills, we make sure the velocity on the pistons is less than 0, and then we do the decrements so that its maximum limit is back to 0, everything's reset. Alright guys, so I hope that maybe gave you an idea of how this is working. If you've been trying to do something like this, hopefully this helps you around some things. Personally, the bit that I found the most annoying to do was this here, which is both getting out the information for the detailed info and figuring out how to actually compare them without them actually working. You would not believe how many times I swore at this script. So anyway guys, I hope you found that useful. I hope it helps you. I hope you do awesome stuff. I know I've said this already, but have fun. Catch you all soon.